Hello, I'm Lana Fais, and welcome to the second episode of the Food Monitor. I'm pleased to be joined by Charlotte Frisoli, and today we will be talking about different kinds of dessert.
Dessert brings family and friends together all over the world. The tradition of finishing a meal off with something sweet comes from France. The word dessert is actually derived from the French word desservir, which means to clear the table.
The first known dessert is ice cream, which can be dated back to 3000 BC. Dessert as we know it today first became a tradition in the 17th century. Some of the first desserts to become popular were ice cream and custard. The first societies who became known for their baking skills were the ancient Egyptians and the Aboriginal people.
Awesome. Lana, what does dessert mean to you and your family?
Dessert is really special for my family because it always comes after dinner, and it's a really good way to bring the family together and to have really good conversations. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. Almost every night, my family and I will have something sweet after dinner. Every time we go out to eat, we always order something to eat after dinner. So it's a great way to just spend time with family and friends.
I agree. We asked some students here from Wayne Hills their thoughts on these questions. Let's take a look.
For my family, dessert is usually just something we have after dinner, like a little something sweet.
So for us, it just means eating something sweet, usually after dinner, but basically any time of the day.
Dessert means to me and my family kind of like holiday times. I love to bake in general. Even like simple stuff like brownies and cookies are so much fun. But it just means like memories of just, because food does hold value, obviously cultures and...
Now let's get into some statistics. The top 5 most popular desserts in the U.S. are chocolate chip cookies, cupcakes, brownies, fudge, and apple pie. And around the world, creme brulee is very popular in France, tiramisu is popular in Italy, mochi is popular in Japan, stroopwafel is popular in Holland, and baklava is popular in Turkey.
The most famous bakeries in the U.S. are the Tartine Bakery from San Francisco, Bakery Lorraine from San Antonio, Ken's Artisan Bakery from Portland, Oregon, Levain Bakery from New York City, and Muddy's Bake Shop from Memphis.
And lastly, some famous bakers from the U.S. are Duff Goldman, Anna Olson, Buddy Velastro, Nancy Silverton, and Lorraine Pascal. Now let's get into our personal opinions about our favorite desserts. Charlotte, what's your all-time favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert has to be creme brulee. They don't have it a lot on the menus in restaurants, but if they do, I will always get that. And what about you?
I agree, creme brulee is very good, but my favorite dessert probably has to be red velvet cake, although it's very hard to choose just one.
Awesome. And have you baked red velvet cake before?
I haven't tried it yet, but it's something that I've been meaning to do. Have you ever baked creme brulee before?
I haven't either. I've looked up the recipe and it looks very hard, so I haven't tried to make it just yet. So if you don't bake red velvet cake, where do you usually get it?
I usually get it from Gencarelli's. They have very good desserts in general, and their red velvet cake is really good. Mm-hmm. And there's this bakery called Justin's Bakery that also had good red velvet cake, but they closed recently, sadly.
Oh.
Where do you like to get creme brulee?
There's really no place around here locally to get creme brulee from, so I don't really get it very often. But I went to Disney World about a year ago, and I think I got the best creme brulee I've ever had from a steakhouse there.
That's awesome. Do you remember when you were first introduced to creme brulee?
I think I ate it at a Christmas party when I was pretty young, and I really liked it. When were you first introduced to red velvet cake?
When I was younger, I had it at a restaurant for a family member's birthday.
Cool. We asked the same students from before these same questions. Let's see what they had to say.
My favorite dessert would be chocolate cheesecake.
My favorite dessert, I'm really basic. I like cookies and cupcakes, but if it's a cupcake, I only like the frosting, to be honest.
Obviously you can't go wrong with ice cream. Ice cream is like the goat and all that stuff. But probably ice cream or brownies, or my cousin makes really good rainbow cookies.
I've never made it before, no.
I have, and they weren't good, so that's why I will always stick to cookies.
I can make brownies really good. I really want to try rainbow cookies, but then you have to get specific pans and the jelly, and it takes a long time, but it's still enjoyable to make.
Usually I get it from Cheesecake Factory.
I would just say ShopRite because there's such like a large variety of like different cookies and just like cupcakes that's actually like pretty cool.
Yeah. Whatever cookies my aunt makes or my mom makes. If not, like, probably Stop and Shop.
Sometimes, like, my parents like to go out for lunch, and then they always bring me home a cheesecake. And one time they brought chocolate cheesecake home, and it was really good. I really liked it.
Cupcakes, probably at 6 years old in my first grade class. You know, someone obviously had a birthday and their mom brought in like cupcakes, and I was like mesmerized. I was like, this is my thing.
When I was young, like, obviously you had ice cream when you're younger.
Charlotte and I have made one of our other favorite desserts for this part of the home baking segment. I made chocolate chip cookies.
And I have made homemade brownies.
Awesome, let's roll the clips. Here are the ingredients that you'll need to make chocolate chip cookies. The first step is to melt the butter. Then combine brown sugar and granulated sugar with the butter and mix. Then add an egg and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Pour in half a cup of flour. Next, add chocolate chips and combine. Put the mixture into the fridge for at least 30 minutes to chill. Put the dough onto a baking sheet, put them in the oven after preheating to 350, and bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Here's the finished product.
These are the ingredients to make brownies. First, pour in chocolate to the butter. Then heat it up for 30 seconds. Mix it together. Pour in 1 cup of sugar and another cup of sugar and mix it. Keep mixing until it's well combined. Pour in 3 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla and another teaspoon of vanilla. Mix it until it's well combined. Pour in 1 cup of cocoa powder, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of chocolate chips, a half cup of chocolate chips, and mix it together. Pour it into a baking sheet with parchment paper. Put it in the oven and bake it for 30 minutes. And this is the final product. As we have said before, dessert is very important to family and friends, and it is a fun way to bring each other together. Lana, what is your favorite dessert to eat or bake together as a family?
My family sometimes bakes sugar cookies together. The recipe's from my great-grandmother, and what's really unique about it is that there's 1 unit of measurement for each ingredient, so it's really easy to remember.
Oh, cool.
And a dessert that my family often eats together is spice cake. And what about you?
My family and I love to bake this homemade cheesecake recipe from my grandmother's. We also love to eat a dessert called dirt cake. It's kind of like it's like a combination of Oreos and like a whipped topping. And we eat that usually after Thanksgiving, and my grandmother's friend makes it for us every year.
Those sound delicious. Why are these desserts important to your family?
Well, baking my grandmother's favorite cheesecake allows it to stay stay for generations. It's a nice way that it'll always stay in my family. And the dirt cake is just a way to relax after a huge dinner and have fun with family and friends. What about you? Why are sugar cookies important to you and your family?
They're important to my family because the recipe's been passed down for generations, and I remember making and eating these cookies when I was a kid, and I think it's really special that my family can still enjoy them now.
Awesome. And do you and your family eat these desserts for a certain time of the year?
We usually make and eat the sugar cookies around the winter holidays, and we have spice cake on Thanksgiving.
Cool.
What about you?
Well, as I've said before, we eat dirt cake around Thanksgiving. The cheesecake we kind of just eat at any time of the year. It's not the easiest dessert to make, so we don't eat it very often.
Awesome. We asked some students these same questions. Let's take a look.
With my family, my dad makes these really good chocolate chip cookies, so that would probably be my favorite.
And that would be this Polish dessert that my grandma just made a couple days ago. It's called Rust, and basically it's like a thin pastry. It's like oddly shaped like a diamond, and you put powdered sugar on top, and it's like it's very fatty, but it's also like just so tasty.
Probably either anise cookies or Easter bread. Easter bread takes a long time, but it's very like stress relieving because you have to knead the bread and you know.
Well, my dad's always made these chocolate chip cookies. He makes them like a lot, and they're really good. They're really fun to like share. Sometimes I bring them to my friend's house and stuff. So yeah.
It just reminds me of just spending time and getting when life is like so chaotic. It's like a set time to sit down and enjoy each other's company.
Usually we make them for Christmas, but we eat them like all throughout the year too.
I think because it's more of a cultural dessert, and since most Polish people are also Catholics, we usually bake like roast around like Easter or like Lent and that season, but you could do it all year round. And yeah, it's just really good, honestly.
Some like Easter bread obviously is around Easter. The anise cookies and rainbow cookies are mostly around Christmas. Because that's when a lot of my cousins come up and from like Virginia and from Wisconsin. I usually see a lot of them from around Christmas.
Well, that's it for the second episode of the Food Monitor. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.